Yogi Bhajan has said that only 20% of the total population should be having children. 20%. That is a very small percentage of the total population. Also, in the yogic tradition, it only takes 20% of the total population meditating for planet Earth to be stabilized, for humanity to be stabilized. So 20% of the total population are called to meditate and have a regular practice of meditation. And that 20% of the total population meditating actually helps humanity to stabilize itself, meaning helping humanity to reach balance and equilibrium. And this helps humanity to not destroy itself, obliterate itself. As we know, humankind can be very destructive, very, very reckless, impulsive, and reactional. So 20% of the total population meditating helps to raise the vibration of humanity and gives humanity a creative destiny. We know all too well the destructive fate, right? The destructive fate that can be our ancestral curses, disease, passed along in our epigenetic code from 14 generations. We know about the poverty that's handed down from generation to generation. We know about our destructive fate, either that be a habit, a behavior, a mindset, a belief that is low vibrational. Usually has to do with survival and profit, money and sex, and the imbalance and insecurity within our money and sex, so survival and profit reality. Right? Very, very primal. It's very immature, right? When humanity evolves beyond immaturity, right? Humanity is functioning out beyond just survival and profit or money and sex. Right? Usually humanity is beginning to develop their dharma, their service, their mastery, their emotional well-being, their mental clarity, working on their creativity, on prosperity. So it's interesting to think about the overlapping between 20% of the total population meditating in order to stabilize this planet, to keep us from destroying ourselves, and 20% of the total population should be having children, and the rest of the percentage are not ready, right? Too imbalanced or unstable to be having children. As we know, on our planet, we are reaching about 7.7 billion people on planet Earth. When I was young, it seemed significantly less than that, right? And my mother's generation, it was less than that. My grandmother's generation, the baby boomer, it was less than that, right? And it is projected that in 2050, we could have 10 billion people on this planet. And most of these 10 billion people are going to be in cities. So looking at the population, right, it's like, whoa, like where did all these people come from, right? It's like we are having children so quickly, so quickly, and yet we're not entirely stable, as we know, right? We're not stable as in our technology age. We're not stable, right? Our energy reserve is not stable. In many places around the globe, the technology is not stable. When it comes to their economic situation is not stable. When it comes to their culture is not very stable. Right? So we know we're not entirely stable. And that's just a part of the technology age as we are adjusting. Our brain is being recalibrated, and we're going through a major cold depression known as emotional and spiritual bankruptcy because we are trying to de-thaw from the patriarchal age, the Piscean age, known as the monarch. Right? We became very stone-like people, very emotionally stoned, and we're very numb. So we're de-thawing, and what that means is that we're having a lot of repressed emotions coming up. Like literally when ice thaws, it looks like it's sweating. So basically what we're doing is we're sweating in the form of tears, in the form of grief, in the form of our depression. And that's just simply a part of the process of our life is being thawed, right? We've all been emotionally and spiritually oppressed, repressed, and basically disconnected, right? So what's happening on this planet is interesting with this population that's just growing, right? It just seems like it's just growing and growing and growing. In the United States of America, it is 1 of 3 women do not make it, right? They die from child labor. Either it could be hours after or sometime after they give labor. That's a pretty significant number of women, right? So in the United States of America, known for having a pretty stable medical service for child labor. We're also one of the most expensive when it comes to child, right? Having a child is very, very expensive in the United States of America. When it comes to going to the hospital and the doctor and all these kinds of things. So with our child raising, we know having a child is very, very significant. And I think a lot of us don't really recognize how significant it is. When we have a child, we are making an agreement, like an oath, to the soul of that human being, that as a mother especially, right? The mother is the monarch. The mother is the one who leads the child to success or to their struggle. So, but a child has its own destiny. It has its own mission, right? Its own blueprint, its own driving life force for what it wants to do in this particular incarnation that is in collaboration with the mother, but also has nothing to do with the mother, right? Because the mother is just a vessel, right? It's just a vessel for a soul to come into this physical life for its own dharmic revolution or its evolutionary necessity, right? And the mother is simply a transport, but the mother also is in collaboration with that soul. The mother has talents and gifts within her arc line, within her Sachic record, that can be beneficial to the child, right? When a mother focuses on giving strength to the child, that collaboration actually propels that child into its creative destiny, right? Now, we know a lot of us, that's kind of minority, where we have a mother that really, hands us a lot of their talents and gifts, because let's be honest, as women, we're just now awakening from our slumber like Snow White. Right? We've been sleeping for a long time thinking that some prince is going to kiss us and we're going to wake up. But we realize we've kissed a lot of frogs as women, and we realize these men are not waking us up. Right? So we're beginning to realize that, wait a minute, I have to find my creative destiny myself, right? This man is not going to kiss me and all of a sudden I'm Snow White and I wake up and I become some sort of goddess or queen or some sort of, high priestess, right? A lot of us women have been trained to believe that we like Snow White, are sleeping. In order for us to awaken to our creativity, to our divinity, our femininity, and our prosperity, we need a prince to kiss us, and then we'll wake up, and then we'll become high priestess, queen, goddess, right? But what's happening on this planet is that women, especially when it comes to child raising, we are still sleeping. Right? It's almost like we're sleeping, having child while we're asleep as a woman, right? Thinking that this man or kissing this frog kind of thing, right? This man, this prince, right? We give a lot of energy to that. Is going to basically develop our talents and gifts for us. And right now, just in my generation, my mother's generation, right, not too far back, have women really began to become builders, right? To work on their craftsmanship, work on their skill, their trade, their talent. And we know a lot of women, particularly in the matriarchal the matriarchal destiny has been very much about healing modalities. When we think of herbalism, when we think of holistic living, when we think of all kinds of foundational healing modalities that are a lot of times pulled from for what we know as like our pharmaceutical reality, right? A lot of these remedies, right, we know as prescription medication, they're actually pulled from this matriarchal society, which is about women who, not so long ago, right, they were in charge of preserving as well as documenting herbal remedies, holistic remedies. They would document healing modalities known as yogic science, known as all form of healing science, either that be sound therapy, either that be actual treatment, like we think of chiropractic treatment, all forms of meridian treatment. When it comes to like even electromagnetic treatment, known as like Tai Chi and Qigong, we women have very much been responsible for preserving as well as documenting these foundational remedies that are used in traditional, we know as pharmaceutical prescription medication, right? But it's heavily altered in order to keep its, right, to keep it, basically you can copyright it, right? You can't really copyright herbalism, because herbalism is not necessarily something that can be copyright, right? We can all grow these lavender and basil and sage. We can grow all of that, right? So it's like universal. So with women, what's going on right now on this planet is just now we're starting to really awaken to our artistry, right? When in many forms, we're really starting to get back our responsibility to our children, right? Because a lot of us as women, we have children and we're not ready. We don't feel secure, right? We don't feel safe. We don't feel comfortable. We're having children because we don't feel good about ourselves. And a lot of us as women, having a child, we have no way of really propelling this child into an energetically vital life, right? And a lot of women as well, people can be very triggered by that, right? Children, they come in and they're ready to go. Just like when we really step into our responsibility to ourselves and we step into our Dharma, we're ready to go. Either we're 5, 15, 35, 55, right? We know we have something that we would like to complete and something we would like to develop in this lifetime, right? It's called an evolutionary necessity for this particular lifetime. But a lot of us, we are brought into the sort of entanglements, right? That the mother, that, it's kind of like we're brought into the mother, the mother's transport, and then we have these additional struggles that we have to battle through. And not just the mother, we're talking about the mother holds the epigenetic code of 14 generations, right? Particularly the mother. Right? So we have to really navigate not only through the mother, but also through the transport that is the whole 14 generations of the woman, right? So in my own sort of, we can say, hypnosis, I have been able to trace this low self-worth through multiple women in my mother's lineage, right? I've been able to literally see how this low self-worth has affected multiple generations. When it comes to my grandmother, when it comes to my mother, when it comes to my great-grandmother, I've seen the behavior, the habits of low self-worth. And a lot of us as women, we have low self-worth, right? And it's just been passed down and passed down. So a lot of us as women, we're recognizing that low self-worth, right? We're recognizing that it's not just about raising children as a woman, right? That's not, I see many women, either stay-home moms or, housewives, that all they do is just raise their children, which is wonderful, right? But women, in order to really be in collaboration with their child, they also have to develop their creativity and their spirituality, right? So it's not just about buying our kids things or putting clothes or feeding them, right? Or emotionally support them. We can give all kinds of love and care and nourishment to our children. It's more so a collaboration comes through a mother being in her creativity, in her spirituality, right? It's about a woman being her artistry. The artistry of a woman is actually a lot more impactful and inspirational, motivational for a child who is here on service, right? A path of dharma, as well as a path of karma. A lot more energizing, right, for a child when a mother is in her artistry, right? She's in her spirituality, she's in her creativity, right? She's in her authenticity, she's in her emotional well-being. But it's difficult on this time on planet Earth because we're having children so quickly, right? But we're not necessarily allowing ourselves to spiritually and emotionally grow, right? So we're seeing our technology is moving, our population is moving, but spiritually and emotionally we're not mature, right? So we look at our TV, our news, our movies, we look at our radio, the sound current that's being, right, put out into the masses. It's very immature, right? What is immature? It's the lower chakras, it's lower vibration, it's about money and sex, it's about survival and profit, right? It's very reactional, it's very commotional, right? So our population is going, right? It seems like it's going, and our technology is definitely going, but we still are emotionally and spiritually, creatively, we need to put more focus, not on technology, not on population and about, right, trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? The people around us and right, having a kid because we want a tribe, right? I see so many women who have a tribe, right? They have 5 kids and they're completely disconnected from everybody around them. They don't even want to talk to anybody that's not in their tribe called their children, right? Or their husband, or their just immediate family, right? So we're all trying to create our little tribes, but it's creating even more struggle for us, because a part of moving into the technology age, and even in the population that's increasing, is about us creating a community, right? Community is what turns friction into ingenuity. Community is about innovation. Community is what's going to build a new culture, one that is not about cultural segregation or discrimination or culture repression, right? It's going to be about innovation, right? So a part of our evolutionary necessity for man and woman is that we are here to join a community, right? Community is about celebration, it's about determination, it's about liberation, it's about sharing ideas, it's about broadening our understanding, right? So that we can be more well-rounded, so that we can have more resources and more tools for success, right? So when we think of the tribe, right? The tribe is very much about helping us to live soulfully, right? What does that mean, to live soulfully? A tribe is what helps us to remain faithful and true to who we are, right? So we can go out into the world and have all kinds of experiences and take on all kinds of identities and personalities and lifestyles and gain all kinds of credentials and become all kinds of, right, form all kinds of self-concepts about who we are, and what we're here to do. But our tribe is it's like the voice of reason we always return back to, right? Because it reveals to us our authentic self, right? Our authentic self. So a lot of us, we yearn and we're hungry for authenticity, because our technology and our population, we are becoming quite ambiguous, right? With our population intermixing and intermingling, and we are becoming very diverse within our technology because we're connecting to each other, right? And our information is kind of dumping into each other, right, from all kinds of places. So we want authenticity, right? We want authenticity. We want to have a feeling of like a soulfulness, right? A soulfulness is a voice of reason. It's a creative expression. It's a divinity, right? It's a celebration. It's liberation. It's spiritual growth. We are hungry for this spiritual growth, and the overlapping between 20% of meditators and 20% should be having kids, right? Well, 80% should not. It's basically saying that to really raise a successful tribe or successful community or successful child is that we do have to be spiritually and emotionally evolved and as well as mature. Right, we have to move beyond sex and profit, money and survival and profit, right? But a lot of us, we're still there, right? Our relationships are totally transactional, right? There is no sense of emotional or spiritual journey, or that we are even being authentic or honest with each other, right? A lot of our partnerships, it's still based on status quo. It's still based off of, right, like splitting the bills with each other, or it can be even lustful, or can be commotional for a lot of us, right? And children, especially these children coming in, they want to have, they want to be a part of a dharmic evolution, right? Because we've been through the karmic, we've been through the revenge and the eye for an eye and the whole low vibrational, all these kinds of mayhems and dilemmas and all that kind of stuff. We've been through that, right? A lot of these children coming in, they really want to move beyond that. And what's very helpful for these children coming in, which kind of lightens the load, is a mother who's able to burn through her own sort of karmic habits and behaviors and low self-esteem and low self-worth and insecurity that has her still struggling within the realm of sex and money, right? Money has to do with poverty consciousness. It has to do with lack of creativity, lack of self-esteem, right? It has to do with lack of will. Right, sex has to do with, temptation, and it has to do with being superficial and out of touch with yourself and low self-worth, right? Also has to do with the boundaries, right? A lot of us, we don't have boundaries. So when we begin to evolve beyond that, especially as a woman and having children, we're functioning at the heart, we're functioning at the third eye, right? And that is not about dilemma, it's not about commotion, it's not about misery and confusion. It's very much about creativity, it's about prosperity, right? And it's very much about craftsmanship, right? So craftsmanship is about money. It is about sex, right? Sex has to do with our sexuality, our ability to tap into the physical, right? You tap into use your hands, right? You use your body to get down in the dirt and make something happen, right? It also does have to do with money, which is about exchange. It's about collaboration. It's about living right? A practical life, being organized, right? Manifesting. But craftsmanship is evolved beyond that, right? I feel secure, I feel balanced in my sex and money now. I'm upping it up a notch, and I'm starting to focus on craftsmanship, which is about being visionary, right? It's taking the foundations of manifestation, and now it's upping it, leveling it up to visionary, right? Which is, I have a vision for this child, right? I'm connected to this child, right? I know that this child, I've spiritually connected with this child, right? I know I have a tool to really help burn through this child's karma, right? Or I can sense maybe, little issues, right? Or struggles in this, the samskara is what we call from past lives of this child, and I can burn through it. That's yogic science right there when it comes to raising a child, when it comes to pregnancy, is that a mother is a transport, but while the child is in the mother's womb, she can go ahead and clean up a lot of the sanskaras and of that child. She can remedy it, she can heal it, right? Because we all come into this life, the transport of our mother, and we have our incarnations of trauma, right? Trauma, fear, we've been around the block, all of us, we've been around the block, right? So a mother, if she's intuitive and she's, right, she's very much in her craftsmanship, right, which is about being a builder, right, being kind of an engineer, as well as being very imaginative and creative, right, having a vision, right, being psychically clear, she can go ahead and she can literally remedy any sort of these sanskaras that are connected to the child, that come from previous lifetimes, that are basically about pains and aches or grief that the child may have to deal with in their life, right? And that's what it means to collaborate with the child. But a lot of us women, we're not doing that, right? We have children, I just see women, pregnant women, they're just like eating Cheetos, and they're just sitting around, and they're just kind of look mopey, right? They're not even using that time to bring the highest vibrational reality they can to that child, right? And a lot of us, we have children at low self-worth, we're in reactional, right? We're commotional, we don't have a secure partnership, and we just don't feel good, right? We don't feel good in so many ways, right? The only thing that makes us feel good is that we have a child, right? But the child is not to make the mother feel good. That's not the purpose of the child. The purpose of the child is that it's coming through the mother transport. It has something it would like from the mother, right? An experience, right? That's why it chose this particular mother, right? And also it wants the high vibration of the mother. That's all the child wants. The child wants nothing to do with the mother's low vibration, right? But in our having children, a lot of us as mothers, we're so caught in our low vibration, our money, our sex, our survival and profit, that we don't really offering a high vibrational reality to a child. It just seems we're not there, right? That as a child, soul coming into the fetus, coming into life, having a high vibrational sort of sound current broadcasting through the child, that is a major quantum leap and propulsion when it comes to the child, right? Being successful in life, right? And not falling and faltering and destroying itself, right? So as women in our community of women, because we're really returning community of women, because we do need to really learn from each other as women so we don't make the same mistakes, right, of our 14 generations, right, so that we can really grow up and mature beyond the ways in which we destroy ourselves and destroy our children, right? And we're starting to focus on creativity, artistry, and spirituality as a form of fulfillment, as a form of as wholeness, right? because we as women, we represent the beauty of the universe, not the ugly of the universe, not the confusion of the universe, not the I don't feel good about myself, the universe, right? We represent the beauty of the universe, but we need support, we need encouragement, we need empowerment. Women need to be at least 16 times more empowered than men in order for planet Earth to actually have a chance at stabilizing itself creatively. Right? Creatively means every people on this planet are functioning more from a creative destiny rather than from destructive, I don't feel good about myself, I'm going to do all this stuff to myself because I don't like myself, right? And then therefore I'm going to belittle all these people in the meantime, right? Right? Women have to be more empowered than men because women, again, they're the ones that create the generation. The generation, the culture is created by the woman in the house. We all know this, right? Men know this as well, right? So if a woman creates a low vibrational culture that's about poverty or not being good enough or about random men coming in the house, mindless sex, anything that's low vibrational, that's going to become the child's culture. And the culture of that child will remain the child's culture, right? And a lot of time for life, right? Because childhood is basically the basement, right? The basement of our life until we go in and we clean it up. But some of us, we don't have the courage to go into the attic or the basement and clean it up, our childhood. We are ruled by our childhood memories and fears and poverty and all that kind of stuff, right? Not even realizing that we think that our basement can be dirty and that as long as we just don't go in the basement, it's not going to affect our house, right? But the basement, we're discovering in the practice of feng shui, it's energy. So if you have a lot of crap in your basement, energetically, your house is not going to be as high vibrational as if you cleaned up the attic because it's space in the mind. Whatever's in your house is in your mind, it's in your aura. And feng shui is not about just shoving things under rugs or putting in the attic or basement and just avoiding, right? Just shove it in there and, you'll forget about it. Feng shui is about everything you see and you cannot see in your house still has an energetic effect on your mind, on your spirit, and on your body, right? So the whole childhood thing, which we forget because we get older, we forget. It's like the basement. You don't go in there, so you forget what's in there. In our mind, in our spirit, in our body, we still know there's something in there, right? We can avoid, we can escape, we can deny, we can lock the door and throw away the key. But what is in there, right? So a lot of times in the practice of feng shui, in the practice of joy and simplicity and contentment and fulfillment, is we grab a shovel, we go into our attic, we go into our basement, and we shovel out all of the crap, right? Whatever it is. And that's what we call self-hypnosis. That's what we call deprogramming. That's what we call transforming our nervous system, right? That's edgy because our mother was edgy when she was pregnant, right? They're shaky, or she cried a lot, or she just was not doing too hot, right? Transform the nervous system, right? That's and transform it into a stronger nervous system, because all of us, we carry the nervous system of our mother. All of us do, either male, female. Right? And depending on what kind of nervous system strength she had when she was pregnant, really kind of determines our nervous system strength. For example, I did some heavy-duty nervous system repair, and I started shaking. And in the shaking, I could feel the Parkinson's of multiple women in my lineage. I could feel it. And I knew that Parkinson's was running through me. I could even feel Alzheimer's from multiple women, right? And so my nervous system was shaking compulsively, and I was holding this meditative pose, and I let myself shake because I knew in the shaking I was getting stronger. I was actually obliterating the sort of nervous system weakness that is within my 14th generation of women, right? So a lot of us, we don't think about that. We are just now scientifically beginning to realize that, yeah, our nervous system is affected by 14 generations of women. in the lineage of women. Right? We're also recognizing that, yeah, our childhood really does, our basement that we don't go into or ever look at, it does energetically affect the whole vibrational field of the house, right? We are recognizing that a part of healing is feng shui, right? I'm talking about feng shui energetically, mentally, emotionally, physically, in your home, sexually, and creatively, right? So as women, when raising a child, right, we know our technology keeps going, and there's just so much TV, and there's so many channels or TV shows, right? So many forms of Netflix that are coming out, right? We're definitely, our population is increasing, we know that. So with that, the evolution necessity is not, right? The technology and the population is not just for that, right? We want, it's like a vessel, right? Population is just a bunch of vessels, right? It's just vessels, right? TV, think of a TV, a channel, right? It's a vessel, right? It's a transport. Physical body is a transport. A channel, a TV is a channel. It's a transport, right? What we really are hungry for is we want to transport through these vessels of population and through the channel of TV and radio and all that things is emotional and spiritual maturity, right? And a part of that starts with a woman, right? It starts with her having enough self-worth, enough dignity to really move her child's destiny beyond survival and profit, beyond money and sex, right? And that takes us as women feeling content, right? Creatively content, because it's not just about my child makes me feel good about myself, right? I don't feel good, my child, all of a sudden I'm happy. No, it's about the mother is there to give to the child. The child is not there to do anything for the mother. The mother is meant to, in the time that she's with the child, either that's, forever how long, right? Is to give as much prayer to that child as possible to make sure that child has the greatest chance at not destroying itself and reaching its creative destiny, right? And that how mother does that is through her artistry, is through her creativity, is through her devotion, determination for her to be the most empowered woman that she can be. Right? She doesn't have to nag her children. She don't have to call her children every day. She don't have to do any of that. It's just through the empowerment of herself. That's what feeds the child energetically. So even if the child is somewhere way distant from the mother, right, living in a total different place, the empowerment of a woman who's really, really devoted and determined to become the greatest artistry that she could offer herself and this planet, that is empowerment that actually raises a generation and raises the children to actually be sovereign, to have leadership, and to cultivate a new culture, right? That's not about selfishness. It's not about right, whatever it is. It's about innovation. It's about a new culture of living according to your creative destiny, not living according to your entrapment or to your enslavement or to your weakness, right? Right? Living your indebted society mindset, your religious oppression, your hierarchical repression, your low self-esteem. It's living according to your creative destiny. In order for anybody, a child, a woman, a boy, a man, to reach that, they have to have empowerment from the woman. And not just a woman who's empowered for the 6 months or 9 years of a child's life and then she's like, I'm not really feeling good about myself anymore. I'm talking about empowerment that is throughout the entire woman's life, from like her to like 80. And there are such women, right? There are such women who are continuously empowered in their artistry, where they're learning, they're discovering, they're exploring their freedom, right? Freedom. And a lot of women, they're not free. You can see it. They're not free within their hips. They're not free within their aura. They're not free within their mind. There's no joy, right? And these childs can sense it, because children are about freedom. And a woman is about freedom, right? And freedom is an act of revolution. It's an act of evolution. It's an act of improvement, refinement. It's an act of taking what is within the 14 generations of women and doing better, right? That's the freedom of woman. That's the Lady of Liberty, right? Lady of Liberty. That's what brought about a new generation of cultural acceptance and cultural tolerance within, let's say, the United States of America. Lady Liberty represents a new culture, one culture of religious prosecution into a culture now of religious tolerance, right? Lady Liberty, freedom is the woman. Justice is the woman, the balancing act, right? Evolving beyond the reaction, the immaturity, the pain, the grief, and evolving higher, wiser, right? Like the empirical eagle, right? Empirical eagle represents freedom, right? I have freedom. I'm wise. I'm vigilant. I'm discerning. I see clearly. I have 20/20 vision, right? I give my children the highest chance, right? Or I don't have children at all. And that's kind of like nature, right? Nature is very much like that. But we as humans, we don't feel good about ourselves, right? Because spiritually and emotionally we're bankrupt. We feel bankrupt, right? In so many ways. Because the whole Piscean age, they gave us a shiny temple. They gave us a vessel of the most expensive church we could ever go to. But then we go into the church, and it's like going into a shell, and there's no pearl, and it's just a shell, right? So we're realizing, wait a minute, I'm emotionally and spiritually bankrupt because I've been bamboozled. It's been a magic show, right? I haven't actually experienced created destiny or liberty or freedom. So this is something I have to find within myself. This is something I have to pursue through my own vision and through my own visionary ability to manifest, right? To manifest art and music and expression and community and culture and fashion. Right? That's in alignment with a very beautiful life, a rich life, a wealthy life. Not just wealthy on the external, right? That is, the external is worth all this money, but then when you go inside, there's nothing, right? There's no wealth. There's no true sort of pearl, right? It's false. It's a magic show. Like going to see the Wizard of Oz and realizing that the wizard has nothing to offer because the wizard actually did not do what it said it did, which is actually go into life and to actually study, learn, grow, excel through its craftsmanship, right? So we as women, men can be builders, right? They like to build, but we are the vision. We are the craftsmanship. Right, the craftsmanship has to do with vision, has to do with artistry, it has to do with the idea, the imagination, the creativity behind the building and the establishment and the facilities on planet Earth. So when we tap into that as a woman, we are empowerment. When we raise children in that sort of high vibrational sound current, right? Sound, because we're all sound current, right? Like a gong, right? The womb is a sound current that soaks the child with music, basically sound, vibration, like electromagnetic current. When we soak a child with that, we are soaking a child with we're basically installing and programming into a child a higher vibration, right? And higher vibration can be extremely powerful. It can literally, like mantra, meditation, yoga is our way of cutting out these diseases and these ancestral curses and these epigenetic code sequences that lead to destructive patterning within us. We don't want to have those destructive patterns. We want to have a tool to literally obliterate those epigenetic sequences so that we can really reorganize our deep self, right, in a pattern of creative destiny, right? That's not about falling or faltering or losing your mind or about low self-worth or low self-esteem or low energy, right? It's about, we want bigger energy. We want to have the biggest energy, right? To have the biggest energy, you have to have a very, you have to have the creativity for big energy. And that's something that is literally inspired and motivated by the Ma frequency, the mother, right? By the feminine, right? The feminine is the teacher, the feminine is the judge, the feminine is the messenger, the feminine is the medium as well as the shaman, right? She's the one that has the healing modalities, the remedies. She's the one that is able to bring in a child's higher self, bring in a child's higher destiny, and have the empowerment to literally install big energy so that child can have a quantum leap, can be propelled into their life of great sort of vital heart, right? Strong heart. So I wanted to share this because I find the Yogi Bhajan, 20% of people should have kids, very fascinating, right? And 20% of meditators on planet Earth actually helps, it stabilizes Earth. Because I do feel the overlapping, I've mentioned this before, right? The people who, right, 20% meditators are actually the ones who are having the children, right? The ones that, according to the yogic science, should be having the children. In the way that women should, an empress has a child. Like, let's look at tarot, right? The empress is seen as the woman who is pregnant, right? The empress, she represents the mastery of all of the elements, from the queen of wands, the queen of swords, the queen of cups, the queen of earth, right? Pentacles. She represents the whole balance of all the elements, and the empress represents the one who has children, bears children, right? She's seen as the matriarch, right? And we know in the wolf pack, the matriarch is the one who has all the children, right? She is the one, right? There could be multiple females, but she is the one that usually has all the children, right? She's the bearer of children. And why is that, right? The empress, the matriarch, is seen as the one who has the tool, has the wisdom, the knowledge, and the vibrational resonance, like the high vibrational resonance that can bring forth children who have very strong heart, right? A very strong heart. And out there in the wild, having a strong heart is very important. Right, not just for the survival of the tribe, but just for the strength of the lineage, right? So in the wild, matriarch or women or females, they don't just have babies with random men or males, right? Usually the females in the wild, they have children with the strongest male they can find, because they understand that the lineage, right, the epigenetic code can be influenced and disrupted by a male who is basically, he's consumed by his weakness, right? And he hasn't been able to get over his weakness, right? So us as women, we've seen our mothers and our grandmothers completely, like literally off their kilter because of the disruption of the household, the disruption of the mother. For example, my grandfather had an alcoholic mother who was very unhappy woman, very nasty woman. And what happened is she put him off his kilter, right? He stopped really believing in himself, and he eventually died of brain cancer, right? These kinds of things. The woman can be very disruptive, right? She can be very disruptive, right? So as a woman, we have to eliminate all disruptions, right? I'm talking about, even that's why we don't have children with men who bring about disruption, who don't respect or value or honor us, right? And as women, before we even step into that, we must become the empress, right? Before we can even step into having a partnership with a male, we usually step into the empress, meaning we have to learn, right? As women, we have to learn. And our learning is different from men, right? They learn about the world, right? The status quo, the game of the matrix. We as women, we learn about creativity, spirituality, prosperity. We learn about how to create a facility, a community, a culture, a fashion, as well as an ideology and a lifestyle that's very fruitful and very vital. That's what we learn, and we learn through going out there into the world and actually finding our emotional and our creative freedom at all costs, right? At all costs. Because we understand that the Empress was the fool in her immature state, right? She was youthful, naive, and took a risk. And in taking that risk, there were so many challenges, there were so many blessings, but there was also much experience that made her the judge. The Empress is seen as the judge, the queen, the high priestess kind of thing, right? She has been around, she has experienced much, and that's why she's rich, right? And that's what freedom is. Freedom is about being rich with experience and knowledge and contact and participation with life, right? Vigorous, determined, devoted, very passionate participation, involvement with life, right? In order to finish your project as a your craftsmanship, you have to participate, you have to be involved, you have to be determined, you have to concentrate, right? You have to obey yourself, right? You have to do what you say you're going to do, right? That's what freedom is. You trust yourself. You're able to do what you say you're going to do because you have enough experience and enough craftsmanship and skill, talent, to actually do it, right? And that is the forgotten empowerment of women that's just now being resurrected because our population increase, our technology expansion is requiring not men to expand their empires and their legacy and their domination over survival and profit. No, we're talking about expansion of the woman, because the woman is expansion of culture, expansion of identity, expansion of lifestyle, expansion of community, and expansion of what is possible for humanity, what is possible for us to learn, what is possible for us to excel in, what is possible for us to achieve on planet Earth beyond survival and profit, right? We're talking about excelling in culture, excelling in well-being, excelling in a community, excelling in maturity, excelling and creativity and emotional peace, right? So this planet is getting a new philosophy, and that's being created by the woman, right? Because we see these men, we see the domination still persisting, and we don't see a lot of new culture. We see a lot of outdated, old mindsets, old belief systems, old doctrines that are really crusty. They're crusty, and these people are old. They look old, they act old, and everything they offer is just crusty, right? So we're recognizing that these crusty patriarchal sort of doctrines is no longer efficient. It's no longer vital to humanity. So what's happening is humanity, the women especially, they're empowering themselves through community, creativity, spirituality, and artistry to basically bring forward vitality, right? Because leadership is not crusty, the crab. It's not crusty stuff, right? That's not what inspires or motivates humanity to expand and to mature and evolve. It's vitality, energy, to be energized, right? To use that energy not for outdated culture that does not expand, but more so contracts, and it presents all these dilemmas and these sort of like complications, right? We're looking at expansion in the culture, in the fashion in which everybody kind of participates in, right? The Kool-Aid everybody's drinking. And the women are very much, they're the ones that are using their artistry, their creativity, and their spirituality, their emotional self to really go deep, right? To get deeper with life, to get deeper, right? Move beyond the crusty, whatever mind game, magic show that these patriarchal age played with us, right? In order to get something that is endearing, that's sincere, that has depth, that has true sort of ancient knowledge, and that is very powerful, meaning power, right? To be in power, to be powerful, right? And the greatest empowerment a woman can have is to be a judge, is to be the empress, is to be knowledgeable, is to have character, right? That is the most empowering energy that's undeniable, is when a woman has character, right? That's what's revered, right? So we can play the magic show and become the Wizard of Oz and, do all these magic shows to get what we want and survival profit all day long. But character is what's actually going to win for a woman. A generation will win, right? Because in the Aquarian age, the veil is lifting, and you can't hide behind a curtain and play your magic show on people, because the veil is lifting, and what's happening is your character is going to be transparent, right? We're no longer confused. We're actually sensitive and intuitive and psychic now on planet Earth. So that means that your character, your psyche is very transparent. We're not so easily fooled on planet Earth because we actually have a tool, and that's the Aquarian age. That's the ability to be discerning. We were not discerning in the patriarchal Piscean age. We were not. We were fed the Kool-Aid. We believed whatever we were told to believe, and we lived our lives completely fooled, foolish, and out of sync, completely disconnected from community and completely disconnected from integrity, right? But we're no longer. We're very discerning because we're starting to really tap into freedom, really starting to find ways, like innovation. Aquarius is about, if you have the spirit of innovation, no matter what sort of limitation is there, you can find a way, right? Innovation is about, we can find a way, right? There is a way. There's always a way with Aquarius, right? The Aquarian ages, there's a way, right? If you have the spirit of innovation, if you have the spirit of a medium, a spirit of an engineer, you can find a way, right? And that's what we're doing. We're architecturally finding a way to create a destiny that is sustainable, but also creative, prosperous, and a part of a fashion that's actually vital and not crusty, right? Nobody wants to wear crusty hand-me-downs. We want vital fashion, right? That is about becoming an energetically supreme being, not an energetically deprived, drained, and misled and misappropriated being, And this is what women are offering. They're offering that expansion of emotion, expansion of spirituality, expansion of creativity, expansion of lifestyle, expansion of purpose, expansion of meaning and understanding and culture, which is everything, right? And that expansion is giving us the maturity, giving us the growth, giving us the experience, right, of our own making, of our own ability to make, to build, to create, to recreate, to reinvent, to reestablish ourselves. And literally generation is the following, right? The generation is the following, right? It's the following of the mother. It's the following of the women, right? And when the mother, right, creates, right, a flame, right? Think of a torch, right? We pass down the torch. A torch through like a very powerful torch, right, to follow, right, following kind of the wind, right, the wind of the mother, the wind of the goddess, the wind of the culture and the creativity, right, the generation becomes very much pulled towards victory, right, and the wind horse, right, the pranic wind of the mother, when it is very much very strong, right, the current of it pulls the child naturally into the direction of creative destiny. Now if the pranic wind is weak, right, or there's nothing at all, right, it is a child has to, you know, pull up his pants and like, okay, I gotta get down and dirty and do it myself. Which a lot of us as people, we have done it ourselves. We pulled up our pants. We said, I'm just gonna do it myself, and we did it, right? A lot of us, we got ourselves here because we did it, right? We did it with the support of the ancestors and the support of the angels, right? But when it comes to even greater expansion, right? When we do start to enter into a matriarchal lineage, we're going to start to see more and more generations giving a wind of victory, a wind of creativity, right? And that's really going to propel the generation into creative destiny and out of karmic fate, right? I'm fated to poverty, I'm fated to disease, I'm fated to Parkinson's, I'm fated to cancer, I'm fated to whatever it is that's low energy, right? Creative destiny, we're just now in these just 3 generations of women starting to really create that pranic wind, really get it circulating, really get it vital, and really get it like electric in this current, this movement of creative destiny, right? And we're doing that because we want to rejuvenate and we want to really propel this planet Earth not into survival and profit. That's about Earth is going to die, we're going to go to Mars. Profit, which is about like, let's just hoard all we can and all kinds of things. Project humanity and projection, right? Propel humanity into future generations into a matriarchal lineage that is more natural than patriarchal legacy. That's about creating judges, wise people, innovative people, sovereign people, clear-headed people, people who have a tool, people who they have self-respect, they trust themselves, they're not foolish, right? They're not destructive, they're not following aimlessly their tail, right? They are very much really, they're empowered people, right? And this is possible, but it's not created from the patriarch, it's created from the matriarch. And that's the woman, right? And the woman has been sleeping for a very long time. So really recreating that in an international sort of community is going to take, right, the matriarch really gaining back her knowledge, her richness, her creativity, her emotional well-being, and her freedom, right? Because that's what's going to get us happy and healthy and holy on planet Earth, rather than planet Earth is trashy. Let's think about going to Mars. Planet Earth is, all this mental illness and dysfunction and disease. This Earth is not doing so hot. It's hopeless, right? That's going to get us out of that sort of patriarchal way of throwing things away, right? I throw Earth away because it doesn't fit into my survival and profit game anymore, right? That's not what the matriarchal lineage is about. The matriarchal lineage is about rejuvenation, it's about repair, and it's about reinvention. Rejuvenation, repair, and reinvention, right? And that's a totally different paradigm, a totally different model than the patriarchal, which is I take, I make, and I destroy. I take, I make, I destroy. Right? I take, I make, I destroy. That's a completely different paradigm, a completely different model when it comes to women, right? Think of rejuvenation, repair, and reinvent. Completely different. It's about being responsible, respectful, and it's also about being collaborative, right? Take, make, and destroy is very much about, right? I get what I want, and then I just move on, right? Or I just throw it away, right? I get what I want, and then I move on, I throw it away, kind of thing. So that's not working, right? With our technology as well as our population increase, it's not going to really bring stability to our increasing population and to our technology expansion. We need matriarchal fashion. We need matriarchal modeling, which is very much everywhere on this planet. It's just not, there's a lot of it. It's just not entirely governed, right? There's matriarchal influence, right? Because there's culture and there's artistry and there's creativity, spirituality, but it's very much governed and controlled by patriarch, right? So we are going to get our freedom back, and we are getting our freedom back. We're really starting to reevaluate, reform, and redefine what it means to live a life, to be a woman, to have prosperity, to have status quo, to have credentials, to have experience, all of that. In the coming of many generations, not just my own, but these two generations especially, mine and my mother's, we are really reamping this matriarchal lineage, because the future of this planet Earth is very much going to be a new culture, a new paradigm, as well as a more spiritually and emotionally tuned, right? Rather than emotionally and spiritually reckless, I'm a sinner, I'm going to hell, I'm judgmental, I'm going to discrimination, poverty, I don't love myself, emotionally I'm a mess, I'm grieving, I'm misery, and all that kind of stuff. We're really going to bring back emotional and spiritual fulfillment and a high vibrational state of living in tune with yourself, right? And it took us the battles of so many battles to get to this place where now finally we can start to develop a creative destiny, right? Because we have gotten out of so many destructive fate of our life, like the genocides, the wars upon wars, the accumulation of wealth, the kind of attack, the aggression, the deceit, the sort of the lies. I mean, you name it, we've been through a lot. And just now, the Aquarian age is saying we're ready. We're being initiated. We've gotten over that war stuff, right? We're moving on from that, right? We're moving on from that, and we're moving into creative destiny, right? And the only way we'll be able to sustain that on this planet is through matriarchal community, right? That is very much focusing on rejuvenation, repair, and reinvention of what's not working, right? If we keep functioning from what's not working, from what really creates stubbornness, agitation, and resistance within our own lives, right? we're not gonna make it, right? As long as we are too stubborn, too resistant, and too agitated to really expand beyond our doctrines and expand beyond our limiting beliefs and our patriarchal lenses, we're not going to make it. We're going to be too stubborn, too agitated, too resistant, and we're going to completely be misaligned with what we're supposed to be doing as a humankind, right? So the Aquarian age is about, I give you innovation. This is my greatest gift. If you want to be innovative, if you want to be ingenious, if you want to be creatively prolific, you can and you will, right? Because this is the age of innovation, and this is the age of putting your thinking caps on and solving the problems, not through stubbornness, agitation, or through resistance. We're talking about put your thinking cap on and use collaboration, use ingenuity, and use inclusion to solve the problem. Because we know stubbornness, agitation, and resistance does not solve problems. It just creates more dilemma, more commotion, and more buildup, right? Buildup. So we're trying to alleviate, we're trying to flush out the buildup that we've created through our emotional and spiritual repression and our emotional and spiritual bankruptcy that's causing a lot of us to just, be like, what's going on, right? What's going on, right? So everywhere we look, the heart, right? The heart of the new age is about emotional and spiritual fulfillment. Anything that is not emotionally or spiritually fulfilling, right? Person, place, or thing, it's not going to work. It's not going to have footing. It's not going to stabilize. It's not going to make it, right? Because it's like bankrupt. Like it's just not working, right? We're already emotionally, spiritually bankrupt. We need to rebuild ourselves emotionally and spiritually, right? And everything that we're doing, especially moving forward in this coming of couple of generations, is about really bringing back a sound, emotional, and spiritual person, right? As well, that's just going to affect our electromagnetic field, because again, when our heart is strong and healthy, our heart sends signals to our brain that we're at ease. Our heart is a stronger electromagnetic field than our brain, right? So we think our psychomagnetic field is stronger than our heart field, but it's not. The heart field actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain to the body, right? So when the heart sends strong signals to the brain that I'm at ease emotionally, the brain can't even really form what we call a psychomagnetic depression or psychomagnetic scar or tear that creates like mental, disorders and stuff like that, right? When the heart is at ease, the signals sent to the brain from the heart are very powerful, and they can override any sort of psychomagnetic depression or anxiety that is really cutting through into the deeper parts of the brain, right? That can create brain disease and all kinds of stuff, right? So with the electromagnetic field of the heart really pumping into the brain, because the heart pumps, right? Pumping energy, pumping vibration into the brain, very strong signals of ease and balance and harmony, because we're emotionally, spiritually fulfilled, free, and cultivating higher levels of artistry, self-expression, and love, joy, right? Unaltered, fearless, unbroken joy. Naturally, our brain is gonna find that it's gonna be pulled by the heart, right? The heart, it literally pulls everything into position. So our blood, our cells, our tissue, the heart, it has a very powerful magnetic field, right? And magnetic field is about pulling things, right? Adjusting things, pulling things together or apart, right? So we're grieving and we're sweating because we are very much trying to pull out of ourselves these these low vibrations that we've collected, and we're really wanting to magnetically adjust ourselves as we dethaw, right, from our stone heart, magnetically adjust ourselves into a new order, right? A new order. Think of it like a feng shui, or like when you renovate or redesign, or you hire an architect who is going to come into your house. What you're doing is you're remodeling, readjusting yourself so that you can have more chi, more energy circulating, right? That's why you renovate, because you want to have more vitality, more inspiration. Inspiration is like a pranic wind, right? And the pranic wind only happens through the adjustments of your vibration, right? So just the vibration in such a way that literally kind of pulls out these low vibrations and really puts pressure, right, on high vibrations. Right? Really pumps out high vibrations, puts a lot of pressure in high vibrations, and projects it out. That's a temple. That's a synagogue. That's right. That's what a church is doing, basically. Right? It's pumping out high vibration, the pressure, right, of this renovated architectural design that heavily focuses on creative destiny. Literally, the pressure of it pumps, right? Pumps high vibration out. And that's why we feel, usually when we go to a temple or synagogue or a church, usually the first thing we feel is tingling in our heart, because our electromagnetic field is altered, right? All of a sudden, the electromagnetic field of the heart, it opens, it expands, and all of a sudden it begins to calibrate to a higher level of emotional fulfillment. And that's why we go to a feng shui or house in Japan, and we're like, oh, man, I feel like emotionally fulfilled. Like, I feel so light, because our heart has an electromagnetic field that it calibrates a lot of times to the environment we're in, right? Also, it calibrates to person, place, or thing, the person we're with, right? The things in our house, the environments that we go in, right? Versus going to a bar, you feel more emotionally kind of stuck. Going to a temple, like a Ganesh temple, you feel emotionally more free and more at ease. Because our electromagnetic field of our heart very much calibrates, and then our brain follows. So our brain matter and our brain wave, it very much follows the strength of the heart, right? It follows the emotional and spiritual impact of the heart, right? Because that has to do with the physical vibration that we're pumping through our body, while the brain has to do with the mind wave, as well as the amplification and the understanding of that vibration that's moving through our body. So if we're pumping low vibration through our body, our brain is going to reorient itself to understand that and to digest that, and to send out like mind wave based on the vibration that you are distributing through your body, right? So very, very interesting, very, very interesting things. So again, that's why emotional and spiritual fulfillment is going to be the next frontier, right? We think space is, but really without fulfilling our evolutionary necessity in human, right? For human species, we can go to Mars all day long, but this planet Earth, the true progress and the true sort of expansion and new age, it starts with the emotional and spiritual fulfillment, right? Within education, within the community, within lifestyle, within doctrines, within belief systems, within culture itself. Right? When the populace is emotionally and spiritually fulfilled, culture and fashion tends to be a lot more empowered and less destructive and, about commotion and the dilemma and, I'm not good enough stuff. When we are emotionally and spiritually fulfilled, as a woman especially, we feel damn good about ourselves. We feel very capable of finding a way, innovating a path for us to make our creativity an actual facility for us to live and grow in, right? So that's what we're doing. We're breaking through the barriers of the patriarchal age, which was very oppressing and very limiting, right? Victory and success was so limiting. It was only given to the legacy of the bloodline. It wasn't even given to anybody else, right? It's like we were working for a bloodline that was just working for the bloodline and not working for anybody else. But now what's going on is that the Aquarius age of technology has given us innovation. So now we can actually find ways to literally feed our lives without, right, the indebted society that is the patriarch, right? We can actually feed our lives now without participating in an indebted society that comes from a patriarchal bloodline that wants to dominate territory aggressively and strip away people's integrity, right? To keep, the patriarch from being the wealthy of the wealthy kind of thing, right? And that's still running, right? It's still running, right? As we know. But the innovation of Aquarius is giving us, a way, right, to deconstruct the patriarchal indebted society and find a way to really innovate and creatively design our own sort of prosperity that has nothing to do with the patriarchal aggression or patriarchal shaming, right? Publicly shaming each other for an upper hand, right? We're finding ways that, I don't have to do that, right? I can actually be prosperous without selling my soul and shaming other people or being indebted, right? I'm indebted to the king. I'm indebted to the priest. I'm indebted to whatever it is, right? I sold my soul, right? The Aquarius age says you have innovation available to you. You can find a way. You just need to study, you need to be vigilant, you need to have discernment, and you need to really develop your talent. Because Aquarius age is about the talented, the artistry with integrity and with emotional and spiritual fulfillment are the empowerment that's going to move and shake and bring in, right, the victory, right, for themselves and for their community and for their planet Earth. So I hope that this has helped you.